Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of What's Your Mount Rushmore? This is a podcast where we kind of count through our top 4 favorite items in a huge variety of categories. We're all over the place with these categories. We have a lot of fun with it, and we're hoping that you do as well. I'm one of your hosts, John Hansen.
I'm Mark Duvel, and on this episode, we are touching on a subject that truly in life is my first love. Generally speaking, is baseball, but this topic today is baseball movies. That is the one coolest thing. I mean, of all the sports that exist, clearly, I think the most movies have ever been made about baseball versus any other sport. I could be wrong on that, and I don't care if I am, but because there was a lot to choose from. And this was, again, another really difficult choice to make, to narrow it down to your top 4 to represent your Mount Rushmore.
Very tough.
So I'll roll right into it, because this is going to be a fun one to discuss, debate, and I'm really curious what your list is. And a quick reminder, we don't know each other's answers until we are truly behind the mic and listening to each other recording the podcast. So to get things started with me, first position on my Mount Rushmore baseball movies is 61. And this is why. So again, this is probably not going to be an ultra popular pick for a lot of people, but for me, it is, just because of the importance of what the movie is actually about, which is that year, 1961, which it's again, how they say this line is always used about baseball, how baseball's romantic. And not in like a boy-girl way. It's just the sport, how poetic it can be.
Yes.
And like, what are the odds that in 1961, Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle, who both play for the New York Yankees, and this is not the era of the New York Yankees that you should hate. This is not the Derek Jeter, Joe Torre, Alex Rodriguez, Paul O'Neill Yankees. This is the shit that built baseball, man. Along with the earlier years of Ruth, Gehrig. I mean, it's obvious the Yankees are the Yankees for that reason.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Yankee Stadium.
This is a fantastic story, fellas. 2 Yankees playing in the house that Ruth built, both going after his record. It's great for baseball.
But in 1961, for 2 teammates to be chasing Babe Ruth, another Yankees home run record, which was supposed to never be touched, it's absolutely incredible that in 1961, Roger Maris hit 61 home runs and beat out Mickey Mantle, which nobody other than like Roger Maris's family wanted Roger Maris to beat the record of Babe Ruth. Yankee fans didn't. The team, most of his teammates didn't. The media certainly didn't.
No.
Because Roger Maris was incredibly quiet, very reserved, very shy, was never camera friendly. And then you have the polar opposite, one of the biggest partiers and just ultra mega stars of the sport, Mickey Mantle.
Yes.
Now, this is like a side note, and then you can chime in if you have any comments, if you know the movie well. I'm going to guess it's probably not on your Mount Rushmore, but of all the baseball players that played baseball before I would have, been on planet Earth and certainly starting to watch baseball, my favorite baseball player I never got to see is Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
Because he just, quite frankly, was a badass.
He was.
He partied hard, and that's not why I love him, but he played hard, he partied hard. He played hurt. He was incredible.
Yes.
And he had one of the coolest sports names of all time, Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
It's just such a smooth, what a cool name. What a cool story. So yeah, my first pick, it's 61. And I believe that was directed by Billy Crystal. Little side note, but what a cool topic.
Fan. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Yankees guru, and I love that he made the movie, and I've watched it many times. In fact,
outstanding.
I've introduced my son to it. He's now following in my footsteps. He absolutely loves baseball as well. So 61, man.
Yeah, no, 61 is a great movie, and I love Mantle as well. As a matter of fact, before you started saying that, I was part of the thing I was going to chime in with was to say that Mantle is also my favorite baseball player, probably my favorite baseball player of all time. He was a slugger. He was a switch hitter. He had power from both, and he could crush the ball from either side of the plate. Just an amazing hitter. And I think his nickname was the Commerce Comet, which I always think is one of the coolest nicknames because he was from a little tiny town in Oklahoma, Commerce, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But Mickey Mantle, I have a Mickey Mantle baseball card, by the way. Fun fact.
I do too. But my lovely brother wrote his name in marker on the back of it. It's a 1968 Mickey Mantle, rare one because of the color of the font.
Even rarer with your brother's name on it.
Yeah, so it's worth about 4 or 5 more cents than nothing.
Yeah. Luckily, mine has nothing written on it. That's
the kind you hang on the wall and don't let anybody look at the back of it, and then let them just be, wow, you have a Mickey Mantle in your office? Yeah, just leave it on the wall though, huh?
Yeah, that's. But it's interesting you said that about Maris because Roger Maris was not a popular player, and to be perfectly honest, outside of that year, was not really a great player either. He had a pretty average career.
But that year, not average at all. He lit it up. I mean, again, he beat out Mickey Mantle, and then more importantly, he did beat Babe Ruth's record, and then that record stood for years until the McGuire-Sosa '98 season. Yeah. And that's when baseball and steroids and all that started to really become on the foreground. But so there's my first pick. What are you coming out of the gate with?
You hit a home run right out of the gate. I love it. Anyway, 61 is not on my list, but it's definitely it would have been an honorable mention for me. My first pick is a movie that I probably first saw when I don't know, it might have been 13 years old, 14 years old. 12 years old, maybe probably even younger, but it was The Natural with Robert Redford. And just a great, like one of those feel good movies. I mean, it's honestly like a movie that you're really rooting for the guy. I mean, he finds success later in life. If people that haven't seen the movie before, first of all, go watch it. It's an absolute classic. But he plays this baseball player who was a phenom when he was young. 19 years old, he was a superstar, but he gets shot, unfortunately, and the injury basically ends his career. He can't play ball after that. But then later in life, he gets to be, I think he was probably in the movie maybe like in his mid-30s or something, or late in life for a baseball player anyway. He ends up finding success and in a big way.
What do we got here? Read the Salvation Army Band?
Bob Fisher?
Who wants to know?
I'm Roy Hobbs, your new right fielder.
My what?
A lot of the baseball scenes were filmed in a baseball park in Buffalo, New York, that actually was torn down like a year or two after the movie was filmed. And the park was like 60 years old. So it was a very old, authentic baseball park. Yeah. And it had that look. Ballpark. Yeah. It fit the bill. But they tore it down, sadly, of course, like every old ballpark. Oh, here's the other funny thing about that movie. Robert Redford, I looked this up too. He was 46 years old when he filmed that movie.
Really?
Yeah, and
I would never have guessed that.
No, well, I mean, he's Robert Redford, right? He was a good-looking fella, so he was
easy.
Hollywood 46, right? I mean, everybody in Hollywood looks a little bit better as they age.
I did not know that. I would have guessed he would have been much younger.
Well, he looked younger, and the funny thing is, if you remember the movie, he played his younger version too. I mean, he played himself as a 19 or 20-year-old at the very beginning of the movie, and here he was 46 years, and this is in the mid. This was, I think 1984, 85. Yeah. Before CGI could kind of make him look younger. He probably just slapped on some makeup and went out there.
Well, and it has like one of the most iconic like scenes in a baseball movie with the ball hitting the lights.
Yeah.
They referenced the 1988 World Series with the Dodgers and Kirk Gibson. Like that situation. Yeah. They kind of tried to combine with the story in the movie of The Natural, but that's a great pick. It's not before my time, but I have clearly seen it. It's just been a long time. But it is a great classic, just great representation of a story of a baseball player. And again, that kind of feeds into the romantic part of this sport. Well, and why there is so many movies.
America's pastime, right? That's what it is.
100%.
Yeah. So
that's a great pick, man. It's an old school, just good baseball pick.
It is.
I'll throw my second one out there, and my second one is a Kevin Costner baseball movie. Might not be the one you assume, but I love this movie, and I love the way the story was told throughout the movie, how it's filmed, the perspective, and they shoot it a lot of times from his point of view, for love of the game.
Yeah.
Billy Chappell was his character's name in this movie. He played for the Tigers, and in this game, he had a long, very successful career, and he's now pitching at Yankee Stadium. And it potentially could be his last game as a Tiger, his last game as a baseball player in general, because he's old. And it's really cool how it's filmed, because you almost get to see the arc of his MLB career. That's one topic. And then the way he built a relationship with his love interest, played by Kelly Preston, the late, great Kelly Preston. And it's all of these are things that he's thinking about and envisioning through the start of a game that he was the starting pitcher. And again, I'm not blowing anything. This is really not a movie that can be blown. But he's kind of recapping his life, his baseball life, and his life with Kelly Preston's character. And all of a sudden, he kind of realizes, oh my God, I'm deep into this game, and I have a no-hitter going against the Yankees. And the other kind of cliffhanger to the movie is the owner of the Tigers wanted to know what his plans were. So there's a scene towards the end of the movie before he takes the mound for his final inning. The bat boy is the owner's grandson. And they keep kind of pestering that they want an answer. Hey, what are you doing? Are you going to retire? Are you going to go into free agency? Do you want to be traded? Blah, blah, blah. He just writes on a baseball, a note that I'm done for love of the game. And again, I love the movie. It's again, I'm probably 2 for 2 right out of the gate with a movie that most people probably wouldn't put on their baseball Mount Rushmore, but I can't help it has to be there for me.
Sure.
I've seen it so many times. I love it. It sucks me in every time. And again, I love the way the story is told throughout the course of the movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in many, many years now, but I think I will revisit it. It wouldn't have made my Rushmore. I think he had maybe a single with that one. I think he had a home run with 61. I'll give you a single on For Love of Game, or what, for Love of the Game, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
But again, the caveat, I haven't seen it in a long time. I will make a point to go back and watch it. So I probably would appreciate it more if I had seen it.
Again, I know that might not be a popular pick.
Yeah. Hey, that's what this is all about.
Damn it, I stand by my pick.
Good for you.
Yeah,
not bad.
What's your deuce?
Well, my next one is a movie that I think a lot of guys, probably women as well, if you played any kind of sports growing up, especially if you played any pickup sports, this movie might ring true to you. It's The Sandlot. I mean, it's
classic.
It is what it's. The name says it all. It's a group of kids that play pickup baseball in a sandlot in their neighborhood. I mean, a dirt lot, with a makeshift bases and everything, and they're out there with piecing together a team as best they can and just go out and play. And the story has its twists and turns, and there's some players that are not very good. And there's the one standout kid who's destined for the major leagues. But the story is just a cool story. It has the reference to the you mentioned the glory era of the Yankees. I think it's the 1927 Yankees are referenced in this through the autographed baseball.
Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth, and yeah, exactly. And that's what it was, the Babe Ruth ball. But then at the end, they end up getting a 27 Yankees ball, right? Because of James Earl Jones, who, by the way, will be popping up in another one of my picks later on.
Teaser alert.
Teaser. And it ain't Star Wars either. So
that is a great pick. And I am kind of really bummed to say it's not on my Mount Rushmore, but man, was it close.
Yeah.
There's so many great lines in that movie. You're killing me, Smalls.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah.
Exactly. the dog, with as it relates to the Babe Ruth baseball, the Beast.
Yeah.
This giant dog, and the cast of characters, because it's like the Little Rascals meets baseball.
Absolutely.
And it's such a cool story. God, that was a hard one for me to not pick. I had a feeling you would, because again, it's a very deserving baseball movie. Obviously,
Oh, yeah.
my son would absolutely put that on his Mount Rushmore. It's his favorite baseball movie,
I mean,
as it
anybody.
should
I
be.
mean, like you. I mean, you and I both. We both played pickup sports. It doesn't have to be baseball. You could have played pickup basketball at the park. Hockey. If you played any of those games, you can kind of relate to what's going on in the
Well,
Sandlot.
we again, on not to get off on in the old good days, but we grew up in a different era than
Yeah.
like I'm raising my son in. Like we didn't have the tech. We didn't have social media. We didn't have phones. We didn't have all of it. All of that
Internet.
comes with that. Internet. So you really were reliant on your local park, your neighborhood kids of playing pickup wiffle ball, baseball, football, street hockey, actual hockey. It was a different time. And that's why Sandlot is so cool, because it does represent how we kind of grew up. And and again, with truly America's pastime, which I refuse to give up that line, that it has to remain America's pastime.
Oh yeah,
I know many will argue that it isn't anymore.
Yeah,
I just can't let go. It is to me, and it always will be, regardless of stats and data points and TV ratings. Baseball is America's pastime. Great pick with the Sandlot. I'm going to jump into my third, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
My third one is I can't not think of this without just already laughing, because again, it's another movie I could probably recite start to finish, and it's a baseball comedy.
Oh,
Major League.
I knew that was coming.
Major League, and again, it's like Sandlot for adults with adult content, adult language. Yeah. So many good lines in the movie. So many that I could sit here and fill up a podcast for an hour of just regurgitating crap I remember from Major League and how it just stuck with me over the years.
Yeah.
And again, Joe Boo and Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn and Wesley Snipes with Willie Mays Hayes and the coach, the old washed up catcher who was in the Mexican League before they called him. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Charlie Sheen was amazing.
The California Penal League, right?
What the hell league you been playing in? California Penal. Never heard of it. How'd you get there? Stole a car. It's such a great movie. And then awesome. The Joe Boo lines and
up your butt, Joe Boo.
The best part, it's when they're at training camp and one by one these cast of clowns are showing up to Cleveland Indians preseason camp.
Yeah.
And a couple of them have already checked in. And then all of a sudden, this Hell's Angel looking Harley rolls into the parking lot, and Ricky Vaughn is on the back with his crazy haircut. And the coach and the coaches are standing like off to the side of the field watching this happen. And then one of the assistant coaches just simply mutters, "Look at this fucking guy." That line every time. Yeah. It's as he's getting off the motorcycle and walking towards him. It's such a great line.
Fitting. Perfectly written.
Yeah, that movie is it's such a cool R-rated comedy.
Yeah.
About baseball. And I love that they used and had real licensing and used the Yankees. Mm-hmm. And they were the Cleveland Indians. And it was a legit just underdog story with comedy, romance, cool players, cool things that happened, and talk about an adrenaline rush. The way that movie ends when they beat the Yankees and Ricky Vaughn strikes out Clu Haywood from the Yankees, who every time he's faced him, he just hits bombs. And then the old crafty catcher veteran, Jake Taylor. He calls that trick play where he calls his shot and lays down a bunt.
Yeah.
So Willie Mays Hayes can score from second. It's just such a cool movie. What a great comedy. And I guarantee you, and someday, because it's such a big net to cast, if we did a Mount Rushmore of comedies, Major League is clearly going to be something that's probably scratching the surface, if not on my Mount Rushmore of comedies.
I think it'll definitely warrant consideration. Absolutely, you're right about that. It transcends baseball.
Yeah,
just good comedy. Yeah, I love that movie. It's definitely one of my favorites.
And even Dorn, the third baseman.
Yeah.
The wealthy like investor guy.
Corbin Bernsen. Yeah.
Corbin.
Yeah. There's a lot of like Tom Berenger. There's a lot of actors in that movie who were sort of well known. And Wesley Snipes, I think that was his first big movie, right? Or one of them.
Well, it's definitely one of them, and then it
very
launched.
Early. Yeah,
because I think like the next big one he had was like White Men Can't Jump.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he kind of really blew up after that.
Yep.
But yeah, Major League, man, that's my 3 spot.
And the funny thing is too, they play the Indians in the movie are a bad team, and it's fitting because through much of our youth, the Indians were not a very good team. They were kind of the bums of the American League. So it was
based on a true story with different characters and a little more humor.
I love it. A lot more humor, especially if you're an Indians fan. But anyway, yeah, that was a great pick. It did not make my list, but it would have been it probably would have been number 5 if we could have extended. It was a great one.
Yeah. Cool.
My third pick is referencing you referenced some classic ball players with 61, Mantle and Maris. My third pick is also referencing a very classic ball player, number 42.
Yep.
So the movie appropriately called 42, which the number has been retired, Jackie Robinson. I've always been a fan of Jackie Robinson. Obviously, phenomenal ball player, broke the color barrier.
Awfully impressive, his story, truly.
Very. Yeah. I mean, he was a good human being. I mean, you can only imagine 1947 is when he came into the league. The shit that he caught, it was just and to be a stand-up guy through all of it, having to go and play games in the South where they said all kinds of terrible things.
He took the high road is such an understatement. The way that he went upon handling and taking care of his business. And if I'm pretty sure I'm accurate, you maybe back me up, be my quick Google search on this. 42 is the only number in any of the major sports that is retired, but for every team in the league.
I think you're right.
I don't think that exists in any other sport. It's not football, not basketball, not hockey.
Right. Yeah,
I don't think there's any other sport where everyone is just, you're never going to see number 42 again, unless it's the day in the game that they're honoring him. Of course. I've seen that just happened this last baseball season where on like an anniversary, or maybe I don't remember if it's his birthday or what, but every player wore 42. This past season, and I'm betting they'll do that now every year moving forward.
I think they've done that a couple of years actually. I think that's been a couple of years they've done that. They've had one game, and it's a great honor for him. And he, I've watched a lot of documentaries about Jackie, and even outside of baseball, he was a pretty stand-up guy. He went into banking. He was a very successful businessman. Did a lot of product endorsing. So he really had a good career after baseball, which is good. He deserved it. After all the shit that he took, he deserved to have good things come his way. But 42 is a great movie. It tells his story from beginning to, all the way through his playing career.
And from what I understand, he was a great mentor and just person for Hank Aaron.
And Willie Mays too. Yeah, him and
Willie Mays, Hank Aaron.
Also, they both.
Joe Morgan.
He was. He unfortunately died fairly young. I think relatively young. He died in the early 70s, so he didn't live to see some of these guys play. But another quick fun fact: I also have a Jackie Robinson baseball card. That one I'm really proud of because those are much less common.
Wow, man.
Yeah. So anyway, he's definitely one of my favorites, and I mean I'm sure he's one of your favorite ball players too. So the movie's great. So I had to include it. 42 is a great movie. I probably included that movie in part because of my love of Jackie Robinson. So that's where I went.
It's a fair angle though. I mean, again, huge. What bigger guy was there for the sport of baseball? Jackie I mean, he's Jackie Robinson again. Iconic. What else can you say?
Yeah.
Now I have a feeling because we've each named 3 now. Yes. And neither one of us have named this movie, and I gotta suspect we're gonna finish with a tie. And we're going to have the same pick. It has to be, because if you don't have this, then I'm going to go tell you to piss off and pick a different sport to watch movies about.
The Bad News Bears?
No,
no,
it's not. That's a good pick though. Don't mock that too much.
Hey,
this is another Kevin Costner movie, and it's clearly from Iowa. Field of Dreams.
Absolutely.
build it, he will come.
I don't know. This was just one of those movies that affects you in like a really good way. Like when you're done watching that movie for the first time, and for us, it was when we were kids.
Yeah.
But when that movie's done, you're just uplifted. You're like, how cool is baseball? How cool was that story? How cool was the acting, the writing, it's my numero uno, and that's why I saved it for last.
Oh yeah, it's my fourth pick too.
The whole the book the book that was that it was based on, Ray Kinsella, Shoeless Joe Jackson's role in this, and how he's this iconic hero to Ray's dad. It's such again, it's using that same phrase again. The baseball has this romantic element, and that's another version of how you highlight that, and the stories that come with the game of baseball. They're endless and they're different. They're funny, they're serious, they're emotional, they're family related. I mean, how do you not love baseball?
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time.
That's why I started this podcast by saying it really was. It was my first love, other than the obvious stuff like your parents. Like the first thing I discovered that I felt I discovered kind of on my own, it was the game of baseball, and I loved everything about it. Still do.
Yeah. So yeah, I do too. It's a great pick. I that we as you said at the top of the podcast, we don't know each other's picks coming into this. However, and I'm sure you think this way too. I kind of try to think of what you might pick, and I had a feeling you would have Field of Dreams, but I couldn't leave it off. Sometimes I try to pick things that you
likewise
won't. I didn't care about this one. Field of Dreams has to be on both of our lists. There's no question about it. It is a feel-good movie. Also, introduced the world to phenomenal actor Ray Liotta.
Rest in peace, Ray. Yeah, you're right. He's Shoeless Joe.
That was his first big movie. And you mentioned Shoeless Joe. Another movie that just missed the cut for me was 8 Men Out, talking about the Black Sox scandal with Shoeless Joe. So there are just a ton of great baseball movies that we could do 2.0 down the road and easily find 8 more.
And you can even go to the high level water of the well and go to a movie like Moneyball.
Yeah,
that was a great movie. It was it taught me a lot about what analytics did to baseball and how it again forever changed the way owners and GMs and went about their business.
Yeah,
what a fun topic. I'm glad we picked this one early on. Please remember that this podcast is all about interaction. It's what we're trying to really drive and push home. We do want to hear other people's picks, because even already the episodes that we've had good feedback on, we're getting messages, whether it's privately or on the platforms of where we're posting and where you can listen to the podcast. Give us yours. It really is a cool way. There's so much nonsense and bullshit now on social media that can bring you down. Not to get too serious here, but this is just a couple jagoffs, slapdicks talking about their opinions on a lot of random topics. And some of them we're going to be really passionate about. Some of them will have a lot of funny stories maybe, or jokes about. We're going to kind of cover it all. So please interact. And again, our handles. Handles, is it plural or handle?
Well, it's handles, but it's the same handle everywhere. So you can just call it handle.
So handle. And it's what's your Mount Rushmore, and spell out the word Mount. And again, we're on Spotify, we're on Instagram, we're on iTunes, we're on Amazon Music. But please interact. And I think for that one, baseball movies, that's a wrap.
Yeah, that's a wrap. Big, I think it's a doubleheader.
And a quick shout out to our sponsor for this episode, Montgomery Ward.
Oh boy.